So you would go, I have a shortcut to it, but you can go through Windows Explorer here and wait for that to load up. I looked on my other screen, so that's why I couldn't see it. Okay, we have our computer here. Okay, that's my C drive. So somewhere you're going to have a documents folder, and in there is 3D Max. Okay, and it has an auto back folder, and here are my backups. Okay, so the date's the 21st of the 11th, the time's 9:07 at night, and my last backup, which is at the top on the same date, it's 9:05, so 2 minutes ago. It tells you your file size and everything. So if I ever crash and I lost what I was working on now, it's backed up 3 times since 10 to 9, which is when I started, roughly. So I can go ahead and rename this to Playground 1 or whatever, and put it back in my working directory, and I can continue. So I'm just going to whiz that off to the side there. We're going to keep building the playground. So I'm going to get another panel. Let's see, gear panel. I like gear panels. Merge. Okay. Some of these panels merge in at the right height. Like some are made for 120, modelled with a 120 deck in mind. So they come in already at 120 high or close to it. Others will be all the way down here, others will be all the way up here, some will be in the middle, so it's just lucky really. You get to know which ones come in at what height. It doesn't matter to us because we can move it. Now our gear panel's facing the wrong way. I've got to 180 rotate. I keep forgetting to close that down, and I hate working in a little confined area. I like a big screen. Okay, so just moving that in position. Now I know these gear panels are grouped from the get-go because they have lots of different little parts, and it'd be a nightmare trying to select all these parts just to move it somewhere. But I've got it in position here, so I'm going to ungroup it because I want to add colour to it later. So ungroup. So now I can even ungroup that further, but I want all that to be one colour, so that's fine. Okay. Clamps, etc. Alright, now we just want something at this end. I might put some stairs. I know we've already got 2 climbers, but it's always good to have stairs for easy access. So it's a 90 deck. There's a couple of different stairs. I can do the conventional, just normal steps. I know that these elephant stairs also go to a 90 deck only, but I'm just going to do normal stairs for now. Merge that in. Okay, so the handles haven't come in again. For some reason it's having a hard time importing the handles or the rails. So I'm just going to bring in another set of stairs to confirm my theory. Yeah. So it really isn't bringing in any of that steel work. So that's a problem because obviously something's corrupted and it's not working. So I can't even bring in another set of stairs and try and utilize the railing off it for my 90, because normally these would have rails. Now, you know, I know how to design the rails. I could build my own set of rails, but I'm not going to because it's unnecessary for this. So I'm going to see if I can go ahead and bring in the elephant stairs. There's 2 elephant stairs here. I think one of them is small and one of them a large set. I don't know which is which, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose one of them. This was the tiny set. I haven't modelled a lot of these. These were given to me, these were supplied to me. And some of them come in really tiny, like this, and some of them come up absolutely huge, like they'll be triple the size of your whole playground. But this is good. I'm glad it's done this, because now we can use our scale tool. So R for scale. Now I want to scale the whole lot. I don't want to just scale it up, because that'd be stretching it. I don't want to scale it this way, because that'd be stretching it. Same with this way. I don't want to stretch it on 2 axes, because then I just get really high but thin stairs that no one can climb up. And I don't want to do it on this one, because it just makes it go out of shape. I want to actually go in the middle of the scale tool and scale the whole lot, and I can just keep moving the mouse up and it'll go through the screen. And I reckon probably around there for now. So it's just a bit of a guess. We'll move it up, push L, that gives us our left view. So I want to be able to put it on the ground slightly there. I'm going to Alt W out of that. I'm going to click on this window and push P to give me my perspective again, so I can zoom around. Now I know these stairs aren't as wide as the deck. That's fine, but they still need to go higher. So I'm going to push R. I'm going to keep scaling them a bit more. Now this doesn't have to be millimeter perfect. No one's going to know. So just visually make it look appealing. I could get away with just sneaking the scale up there a little bit and just bumping that into the deck. Now they don't look like stairs, it just looks like a ramp. Sometimes some of these models, the polygons are see-through on one side, like there, but then when you go on the other side they're solid. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It will look good when you render it. And just to try that out, we'll just test render this, which is just Shift Q. You can do that anytime. And as you can see, the stairs render properly, although they don't look like they're rendering properly on your screen. They actually turn out not too bad. So it doesn't hurt in just testing it out and just rendering it. Okay, now we need handles. I'm going to use these handles again. And now that I've swung around to a different angle, I can see that the clamps aren't to my liking. I just want to move them over a little bit more. You won't get them perfect. I'm just, being overly critical of myself. Now, when I rotate these handles, this is where you just got to think in advance a little bit. I don't need a whole other set of clamps here, because they're just going to go on top of these ones that are already existing. So possibly I'll just get away with having these two, having the yellow handles highlighted, and these 2 clamps here, which will go on this post. So I'm going to shift drag, which will copy it, OK. I'm going to right click, which will give me my selection here. It usually already highlights. And I'm going to put in 90. OK, that was the wrong way, so immediately I'm going to go a 180. There we go. I'm going to select 2 axes at once and just drag them along. Now because I copied it from the exact location and everything, it matches up with the clamps already. I don't need to move them around. Swing around your angle. Make sure the clamps are on the post so it looks good. Okay, near enough will be good enough for now. But I generally like to get them as close as possible for clients. Okay, now we can see the handles are hitting the stairs a little bit, so what we can do is just edge this stair out a little bit. We've got a little bit of a gap there. Look, I could really fix that up and modify the stairs, but I'm not going to. It's probably a little bit unnecessary. Okay, now we probably should raise that handlebar a little bit. Now you'll run into this sometimes. You'll think you're smart and you will think in advance, like I did there with the clamps. But now that I'm going to raise this, I'm too smart for my own good now. But I sort of did this on purpose just to show you, because you'll run into this. You'll think, oh, I should raise it up a little bit. You'll raise it up and now there's no clamps on the other side, because I probably want to put the handles up there somewhere. Okay, maybe even drop them down a bit. That's fine. We'll just select these clamps, hold shift, copy them up. Done deal. Okay, it's not hard. So sometimes you might think to yourself that you're being clever and then you'll come unstuck somewhere else. You're always learning with this program. There's 10 different ways to skin a cat, as they say, and it applies to this program. There's always more than one way to do something. There's more than one way to move something, scale something, etc. Sometimes it can be a bit confusing having all these different ways to do the same thing, but they make it that way, the developers make the program that way, because in some instances those 5 things that all do the same thing that you think actually don't. In some cases you'll want to move something and you can only do it one way. It gets a bit confusing trying to explain it, but you will find yourself in instances where you might only be able to, technically rotate it by typing it in. If you're in editable poly mode or something, you might want to move it by coordinates. I mean, you can move it with the Kurt, you can move it with any of these selection tools, and you can type in the coordinates and all that. It just is so many ways of doing different things. I just advise you to find the most basic way and learn that. Alright, so now we've got our 2 panels, we've got our 2 climbers, we've got our set of stairs and a slide. Let's put a roof on and just complete this. Okay, so these poles are going to be grouped. So what do you reckon I'm going to do? Well, I'm actually going to select the whole thing and ungroup it, so I don't keep running into this problem of having to ungroup things. And I'm going to do it a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, just to make sure everything's ungrouped. So now when I click on a post, it will be ungrouped from the rest of the components at the bottom of it. They're made up of like a base plate, like a coupling, like a sleeve I should say, and a few bolt looking things. Okay, so when these posts, when we merge the posts into the scene, they're usually grouped. The reason why I want to ungroup them is because I want to lengthen them. Now I can do this with the scale tool, which I'm using now. Okay, if this was grouped, I'll show you the difference. Yes, just group it. Okay, see the bottom of it there? See how it's going right under the ground and it's stretching that base plate. See how fat that base plate is now compared to that? That's because it's grouped and it's stretching all of the objects I've got selected in that one group. So I want to keep these ungrouped because I only want to raise the post. I don't want to touch the base plate and that. Okay, so we can do all 4 in one hit. You just select all. Now this presents another problem. Well, it's not really a problem, but it shows you something different. When you scale more than one object at a time, see now it's going through the ground again. Okay, now this doesn't matter in our case because you can't see under the ground, so we can get away with doing that. But if you didn't want that to happen, if you didn't want it to go below the ground, you would do it individually. Okay, now sometimes when you click an object, it's being converted to an editable poly. And what that does is it gives us more tools to use to modify the object. So the difference is, if I select a tube, we'll just pretend that that's our playground post. Okay, when we create one, we have these parameters. Okay, this is how big our radius is for the outside.